Do I start?
Yes, sir.
No?
Yes, sir.
Good morning to everybody. Good morning, all. Welcome to this session of Digital Dialogues on the subject of digital communication startup success stories. Let me first make a few simple housekeeping announcements. All speakers are requested to keep their mics on mute if they are not speaking. And preferably, the speaker should have the camera on. For others, it's an option. During the QA session, the moderator will determine the opportunity to invite you to speak. So please post your questions in the QA box, and you'll find a QA button on your screen below. Your camera, keeping it on is optional, but it may help you on bandwidth if required to put it off. You would also notice that we have expert sign language interpreters covering today's session. This is part of BIF's continuous efforts for ensuring inclusive digital access for all our valued participants and attendees. We have with us today Dr. Renuka Ramaseshan and Mr. Arun Rao helping us in this endeavor. I would like to introduce them briefly. Dr. Renuka Ramaseshan is the president of the Sign Language Interpreters Association of India, ASLI for short. She holds a PhD in social work and is a senior sign language interpreter trainer with experience of over 20 years in the field. She is also an executive member of the Indian Sign Language Research and Training Center. Welcome, Dr. Renuka. Mr. Arun Rao is the founder and executive director of ASLI, a pioneer in the field of interpreting and training in India. He has been a guide, mentor, and role model to many interpreters and has inspired many to join this profession. He's one of the founding members of the World Association.
Now, just tell me within 10 minutes, I'll WhatsApp to
you. He's one of the founding members of the World Association of Sign Language Interpreters, having served on the board for 5 years. I would also like to begin by extending a very warm welcome to our respected special guest of honor, Shri Kishore Babu, who is Deputy Director General for Standards, Research and Innovation in the Department of Telecommunications, Ministry of Communications, and Shri Deepak Bagla, MD and CEO, Invest India. We couldn't have opted for better special guests of honor to guide us today in our discussions. Our esteemed speakers from the startups here include, whom I welcome, Mr. Sai Dheeraj, Principal Engineer, WiSig Networks, Mr. Hemant Mallapur, Co-founder, Sankhya Labs, Mr. Ramu PS, CEO and founder of Lekha Wireless, Mr. Ankit Goyal, Managing Director of Space World, Mr. Shamal Kumar, founder and CEO, Level Networks. Welcome to all of you. I also welcome our revered industry colleagues and valued attendees, ladies and gentlemen. Let me now begin by saying a few words about startups. Indian startups have been a global revelation almost in the last few years, powered by innovative technology-based startups, bringing about progressive and cutting-edge advancements. Today, India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, with more than 64,000 startups recognized by DPIIT. Indian startups have raised an incredible $42 billion in 2021 alone, up from $11.5 billion in the previous year, as per published reports. Again, India saw 46 unicorns in 2021, more than doubling the number of unicorns to 90, enabling us, firmly positioning us as the third largest unicorn hub behind US and China and ahead of UK. Another study showed that 2,250 startups or more were added in 2021, and the ecosystem generated a humongous 6.6 lakh direct jobs and over 34 lakhs indirect jobs. A very promising ride has indeed started to pick up pace. And driving this remarkable success is the flagship prolific initiative of Startup India, introduced by the government. This government has probably done a tremendous amount for startups and MSMEs. And we are very lucky to have, for example, in the ministry, we are today all about digital communication startups. And in this context, I must take a couple of minutes to heartily applaud what our Honorable Minister, Shri Ashwini Vaishnav, has himself come on record to say. He said, he very nicely pointed out that it's very necessary for government to step in and support startups in the early risk phase. He said that way back in August itself, last year. And he said that's a time when investors are unwilling to take the risk. And so the very good startups fall by the wayside because of that. And so he says, government, we believe that government will step in and help wherever possible. And they are doing that in no small measure. Every day you hear of an announcement from the government on this front. From BIF, we are totally committed to doing our two bits, whatever little we can, for facilitating startups. We have a committee for startups, digital communication startups, and this is a mandate from our general body in a general meeting itself, annual general meeting itself, 3-4 years ago. And there are many successes with us. They are going to talk to you all today, make some brief presentations. Time, of course, would not permit them to give full detail, but you will see enough, you'll be given enough taste of the success. YSIG Networks and IIT Hyderabad, a few successes I'll announce recently which happened. YSIG Networks and IIT Hyderabad jointly announced yesterday a maiden 5G data call. We are all hearing about 5G every day, and here we have a maiden data call on 5G with indigenously developed 5G Open RAN technology, bringing India to the forefront of 5G and beyond. And just the day before that, Leica Wireless Solutions, who's also here today with us, announced the creation of a test bench system for non-terrestrial networks, IoT, in partnership with telecommunication consultant worldwide, an innovator of 3G PP technologies, which will handle higher levels of Doppler noise and delay encountered in satellite communication. That's going to be very useful for R&D work. And a few weeks ago, leading telecom operator, Bharti Airtel, announced an agreement to acquire about 25% equity stake in Lavelle Networks, who is also going to present today. They are in software-defined WAN, SD-WAN products. Sankhya Labs, who's also presenting today, received trial 5G spectrum from DOT last year in the 700 megahertz and 600 megahertz bands to locally test in-house products that enable convergence of broadband and mobile broadband, broadcast and mobile broadband networks before launching them in the US market in partnership with Sinclair Broadcast Corporation. Space Teleinfra, or Space World, has been acquired by Brookfield-sponsored Tower Infrastructure Trust, which is Tower Invid, for a big amount, a very big amount, several hundreds of crores. It's another milestone which shows what tremendous value this startup has added. And Mr. Ankit Goyal, Managing Director, a very young and most dynamic person that I have met in my career, is here himself to say a few words about it. BIF has always advocated the need to nurture and cultivate startups. As I said, we contribute a little 2 bits for that. And we want to bring about innovation, entrepreneurship, and effective solutions for the ecosystem while contributing collectively to great amounts to the national economy. Besides a dedicated startups and MSME committee for this purpose, BIF also recently launched, as some of you might be aware, the Connectivity Accelerator program to enable entrepreneurs and startups who are building innovative, inclusive connectivity through the public Wi-Fi ecosystem based on the PM Vani architecture. This is a great initiative which we are pushing from BIF, and we are aiming to get on board all the 109 or 150 startups operating in this area. We're taking them all on board, and we want to voice their requirements and their achievements in an effective way and guide them, provide them mentorship, networking, knowledge exchange opportunities. So that's another example of our tremendous support for startups. You would note that we have such engaging sessions almost every Saturday. If some of you might have received already invites, we'll cordially invite you all to participate in the same and add value to that. This will help BIF enhance its mission of augmenting the broadband ecosystem and achieve faster progress towards a national policy and goals of achieving a truly digital India with broadband for all. Thank you for your patient hearing and your time. But now, without further ado, I would like to hand over to Mr. James Solomon, who is going to be our moderator for the rest of the session. Please allow me to introduce him briefly. Mr. James Solomon, a personal friend of mine, is a co-chair of BIF Startup and MSME Committee and the founder of the excellent startup Citoto. He's presently working on a free space optics technology that enables wireless gigabit communication. His vision is to make countries communicate securely by establishing geolocation intranet using terrestrial and space optical networks, thus enabling secure hyperlocal edge computing. And you know what I mentioned about PDOAs and PM Vani architecture, which is a great vision of this government. Even in that, he's playing a part with FSOC connectivity. So we are very proud to have you with us, Mr. James Solomon. We are very proud to have all the startup presenters here. And of course, above all, we are most delighted and privileged to welcome our special guests and all you attendees who are all very, very special to us. Thanks. Over to you, James. Please.
Thank you, DV sir, for your kind words. This is James Solomon, founder, CEO of Citoto. We're working in free space optics domain and moderating today's session. You see, startups are just wonderful. The entrepreneurs driving the change embrace it as their own child. Blood, sweat, tears, everything meets into this. Meet an entrepreneur and they'll be more than happy to share with you how they've built the product. And then you can sense that passion in their words. Although knowing that their back is against the wall, we don't lose hope. We strive till we succeed and beyond. So success has to be celebrated, and well it is. And here we are with one of the finest in the digital communication space. I'd like to call upon now Mr. Shamal Kumar, founder and CEO of Level Networks. He's a data networks product leader for the past 2 decades. Has led several platforms spanning data centers, enterprise, and service provider networks. Passionate about embracing SDN and cloud technologies to bring simplicity and performance to data networks, he was voted amongst the top 25 CEOs in Asia in the year 2020. He is also a TEDx speaker and active in the several entrepreneurship courses and platforms in different colleges. I'd like to call upon Mr. Shamal Kumar to take his time. Thank you.
Thanks, James. If I'm audible, can I go ahead and screen share?
Yes, please.
Just let me know if you can see the screen and the presentations come up.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And it's an amazing opportunity that we're all getting together to celebrate these success stories. And today, I'm honored to present the story of Lavel Networks. And I'll tell you the story behind the name towards the end. But what we'll walk you through is what exactly is the reason behind our success, the products and IP that we've built. What are the indigenous components? Today, our webinar today is about the success we have built as Indian companies with the support of the Indian government. So we'd like to explain to you what are those indigenous components that we've built in the company. What kind of target markets are we selling to in India? And our biggest success story to date, the reason we are part of this webinar, the reason we are excited to be in front of you, our network in Canara Bank, the country's second largest public sector bank, and the amazing story that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have initiatives like Make in India and Startup India and Digital India. And then we'll do a quick wrap up of who is Lavel Networks. Many of you probably have not heard of us. Some of you have heard of us and are curious. And even said recently, we announced a big partnership. What is that all about? So I'll take a couple of minutes for that as well. So we'll step into the first slide. And I'd love to walk you through what exactly we build. What are these products that Lavel Networks builds? Why are we here? And why we're so excited about the future of data communications in India. We are in the software-defined networking space. You would have heard it before that software is everywhere. Everything is software-defined. And we are in the software-defined networking space. There are four parts of our product, or you could call four key things in our product. We build data encryption technology, which is very important for communication. We help companies establish private networks over the public internet. The internet has its advantages, has its security concerns. So how do you use the public internet to build a secure private enterprise network? That's a big part of our product focus. Web filtering. The internet is the wild, wild west. The www is everything. From YouTube to Zoho to Salesforce, everything is the internet. So how do you safely secure the internet access for a company? And network operations as a service. Networks are difficult to build and operate when you have hundreds of branches across the country. Users are screaming that their session is slow. How do you really operate that network? And we do that as a software service. So these are four areas where and mature. What about the intellectual property? It's a product company, it's a technology company. Today's story is all about technology and product. So what is the intellectual property that Lavel is building? There are three areas we've invested, our R&D, our time, our passion. One is any of you familiar with networking will know that networking and protocols and standards are all synonymous. So you can't put equipment together without a lot of testing. But doing network communication using APIs is like UPI. Today, when an application wants to talk to the bank, you don't go through months of testing. You work with the UPI API. So we're doing the same thing in network communication. We're using APIs between all our devices and not protocols, which means it's very easy to get multiple devices to talk to each other versus before. And that's our intellectual property. The second thing is we are working on a network, and the network is constrained for bandwidth. So when you're trying to analyze the network, you need all the data for analysis. So you don't want to take a lot of bandwidth for the analysis itself. So we do network analysis with the least amount of bandwidth, even if you have a 4 megabits, 10 megabit connection. We can do 100% analysis, but we won't consume the bandwidth for the analysis itself. The third thing is hybrid cloud, which, as you all know, is very important. Today, we have 3-4 big cloud companies in India. We have Indian companies in the space. But what's true is that we all use multiple cloud providers. The government itself has Meghraj and public cloud as part of its aspiration. So the public cloud, private cloud, NetMagic cloud, Lavel cloud, all of that is there. Therefore, hybrid cloud is very important today. And we can work across all the clouds that are there today. We don't have a dependency on any single cloud. So if you're a company and you use Google Cloud for analytics and NetMagic for private data center, you Microsoft for applications, and then your own data center. We support all those combinations so that as a customer, you can use any cloud. So that's a little glimpse of the product and the IPs. It took us 6 years to build this, but I wanted to use one slide to give you a glimpse of what that is. What is indigenous? What was made in India by Laval? Because all those things that I told you about, there are other companies building them all over the world. So what's Indian about Laval? This is what we built here. Our traffic processing software is built here. It's a complete stack which can handle all kinds of features from a network perspective. Our encryption software is built here. So we run the encryption algorithms to keep data secure. An application detection algorithm. So on the network, if I were to detect that this is Zoom, it's important, and it's not YouTube, we can deprioritize a little bit. So those kinds of detection we've built in software right here. We can handle programming at scale. We're doing 3,000 branches in Canada, so you can imagine, how much of data goes through our software. So handling information programming at scale is a component that we built right here. And so we are confident we can build several larger networks in India. And the entire network operations suite, we've got dashboards, we manage the network, monitor, all of that software is built here. So we're proud of all of these achievements. In the last 6 years, we put together software that I think has changed the life for our customers, and very excited that it was all built here in India. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it as we walk through. Target markets for every product company, for every successful technology business, is very important to be focused on who's your target customer, who can you provide maximum value to, who would need your help in implementing the solution. And this is what we do. Our best target customer is a business with multiple locations, because that's when the connectivity challenges are higher, the value we provide is higher. We do a lot of banking and insurance companies. Literally, the who's who of India's business is our customer, whether it's ICICI or Flipkart or any of them. And e-commerce, healthcare, retail, logistics. So any business which has many locations, we can add a lot of value with our software. We have two main product lines. We have the scale-on product line, which is for large networks, and therefore it's for big enterprises, bigger than 1,000 locations. And we have another product line, which is the NCS product line, which is for smaller networks with bundled and with ISP aggregation as well. So if you're a 10 location customer, you can still add value to you like a 1,000 location customer. Public sector banks are a big focus area for us, and we're glad for the platform from BIF. I think we work with a lot of public sector organizations. A lot of them are upgrading their networks this year. After 2 years of COVID, they're all upgrading their software. And as it happens, when you upgrade your software, you realize you need more, and therefore you come in a network and you look for SD-WAN and all of that stuff. So these are the key banks in our country which are upgrading the networks, and we are very thankful and very excited that they're all giving Laval an equal opportunity like the other solutions that they have. We are the smallest solution provider. We're only 6-7 years old. And yet these banks have trusted us, and you will see the story of Canada, so Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Punjab National Bank, Indian Bank. These are all opportunities where we are getting a seat at the table, and we are honored that they looked at our work. In the Indian Railways and Department of Posts as well. And as you all would have heard, the government is trying to bring the two networks together to provide unified services, and we hope to play a big part in that. With a lot of pride of having built it right here. So those are the target markets that we look at. Customers that excite us, customers we can provide value to. Our success story, the reason we are here in this webinar, the reason we were excited to be part of this webinar, the reason we talked to the BI folks that we should do this webinar is Canara Bank. They provided us an opportunity about 2.5 years back to participate in a very transparent RFP, completely Make in India guidelines, and look where we are. It's a proof that if we could go by what the government's directive is, build great technology, bring the customer and the startup together, we can do some immense things. Who would have thought 6 years back that a 3,000 branch network of the second largest bank in the country will be built and run by a 6-year-old startup? And it would have been impossible to believe 6 years back. But we've done that together with the support of the government, with the trust of the customer, and our own hard work of building the company. We've given them an ROI within 6 months, which is unbelievable for them. And I'd just like to point out to you two key things. There are branch managers today who are in smaller cities and villages because of the upgraded network technology. They're able to deliver the same services that they're able to deliver in bigger cities. And therefore, we can dream of financial inclusion everywhere because the network we can take everywhere. We're able to do video conferencing at scale. The banks are very glad that they're able to talk to 500 branches in a single VC call. And the leadership is able to address all these branches because the network is now powerful enough using software-defined WAN that you can do this. The IT leadership is happy. That's why I'm able to share this with you. And the most, I would say, impressive fact about Canara Bank is when we came together, neither side knew this would be the scale of accomplishment. But today, Canara Bank is the largest modern software-defined network across Asia. I mean, across Asia, there hasn't been a network which was built so fast with SD-WAN as we've done together with Canara. So something we should be proud of. We've not only built world-class technology along with the rest of the world.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Can you please wind up? It's like 8 minutes.
Sure. Thank you. Sorry, yeah. I'll just quickly go to, and thanks for that check. This is a quick summary of our company. A lot of it is on our website. We started in 2015, named after Lavelle Road. And we are growing very fast, and we're very happy that we have this opportunity. And our teams are in Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi. So I won't take more time because this is all available on the web. Happy to be here, excited to share our success story. Thanks, James, for that reminder. And with that, I'll pause my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shamal Kumar, for your valuable insights and information. Now, I'd like to call upon Mr. Ankit Goyal, Managing Director of Space World. He's a first-generation entrepreneur who has enabled better mobile connectivity to millions of people. Recognized as one of the most promising business leaders of Asia by Economic Times in 2020 and 2021, he has built a unique niche in the telecom infrastructure services sector in a very short span of time. Now, I'd like to call upon Mr. Ankit Goyal to take his time.
Thanks, Solomon. Thanks for that. So, good morning, everyone. Respected Shri Kishore Babuji, Shri Deepak Baglaji, Mr. TV Ramachandra, my fellow speakers, and dear friends. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about our success story as a startup, as Space Tele Infra, Space Tele STIPL. As I speak to today, it gives me an immense pleasure of saying that 1 out of 2 calls in countries, any commercial in-building solution is routed through infrastructure led by Space Tele Infra. Space Tele Infra is a net neutral, fastest growing infrastructure provider in the country. Within no time, we could able to achieve 1,200 plus sites, mix of in-building solution and small cell. We have the largest 80% market share and underground tunnel tube projects in the country. We have 400 plus million square feet of infrastructure, which is operated under our infrastructure for all 4 telcos. So I'll take a step back. I will tell you how this journey has been started. So I started a company into manufacturing with the Space Tele Limited. We were a manufacturer of RF components and sheet metal fabrication in 2007. So which used to serve to all the mobile telecom operators, infrastructure providers, and OEMs. During our various meeting and discussion, it was a very common topic of call drops. There was hardly any connectivity. We were able to struggle our connectivity to able to make a voice call. So I used to see that people used to go in various malls, commercial buildings to find a corner to have a voice call. It was a very common problem for all of us. So during this time, of course, we thought that there should be something in macro connectivity. We were having 500,000 towers in the country, but I think it was not about a coverage anymore. It was more about capacity. Then we realized that there is something, a space where we can do something in this space. So me, along with my co-founder, Radhe Raman Sharma, we started this company in April 2016. Though IBS was not new, it was probably market was driven by operators, and there was few IP1 players, but there was no serious players who was working into the market. So we had a very modest start in 2016. Henceforth, but we were lucky enough, we got a very early start. We got a very early success in 2016 with one of first government project of Jaipur Metro for IBS. In next year, we got another successful project of Chennai Metro, one of the largest tunnel tube project in the country, followed by various airports, Silchar, Vizag, and many more airports we got. And 2018 was a turning point of the company that yes, we got various retail and various metros in the country, followed by Lucknow Metro, Delhi Metro, and various more metros we got it. This is the year when we thought that we realized that there is no looking back. We can do something big in the industry, and this is how it will happen. Our customer, when I say customer, mobile telecom operators and builders, they were with us. So they gave full confidence to us. So after that, of course, lockdown happened. So of course, when it was a big challenging year for everybody, but we realized, I think now the malls are closed, offices are closed, there should be something, opportunity should be there. Then work from home is a new thing which have come up. So we realized there should be something we should do as a company. So during peak lockdown in May, June 2020, we as a management team decided let's do something in small cell, followed by residential network, because everybody was taking a call from their houses. But yes, it was difficult to have the connectivity inside the houses. So then we come up with the various solutions for various products like residential. We come up with the ResNet solution, giving a connectivity to high-rise buildings. Followed by we realized that industry is the only lifeline when everybody was working from home. Then industry was operating and they were able to give us the mankind whatever thing we were looking at day in day out. So we come up with a new solution of BizNet, a business solution for industries like Serum Institute. We proudly say that in this COVID time, Serum is the one who helped us to give a vaccine, and we could able to make them live with all the connectivity. This is how this journey started. So within no time, in less than 2 years, we became the fastest growing incremental IPV company in small cell. So we are largest, fastest growing in small cell as well. This is how it makes a difference. When everybody was struggling for the jobs and all, God was so kind that as a space tele infra, we could able to hire 250% growth we did in terms of hiring the people. And this is how we are today. Of course, in COVID times, another thing which happened to us is Brookfield. So there is a only tower infrastructure trust promoted by Brookfield in India. So we signed an definite agreement with them in 2021. So this is one of the largest deal, not limited to India, it's in Asia as well in this domain. So we proudly say that now we are a part of Brookfield family as a space tele infra. So after looking at the next slide, so if you see the clients, so you can see on the left side, we have so many government bodies are there. We are working with Airport Authority of India, various metros, TCIL, AIMS, IITs. So we are working all across various hospitals, educational institutes, metros, airports. On the center page, you can see the kind of confidence our customer is having. So we have all telcos, whosoever is present, whether it's mobile operators or ISPs, they are our clients. Very proudly we say that. On the right side, if you see all the big builders in the country, they are with us. So we had so many feathers in our head in this 5-year journey. The journey was very exciting. This journey couldn't be possible without government support. It was something, a game changer when we see that 2016 to 2021 in 5 years, why we could be able to do this journey. Can we the question go to the next slide, please? So all these things have happened because of government initiative, especially driven by our visionary leader, our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. Under leadership, we have seen so many reforms that happened across different sectors, even in telecom sector, especially about digital India. In digital India, of course, we are the second largest mobile subscriber in the world. There too, 2016-17, we were struggling very bad time. 14 out of 14, only 4 operators left in the country. So it was very big turbulence, but there too demonetization happened that time. And demonetization has given a new life to telecom. Because demonetization, if you have to do any payment, then you have to go close to the user. You have to give a connectivity all across. So this gives a new life. And today, while we are speaking, so every user in India, they consume 14 to 15 GB data per month. This is a tremendous growth, which makes a life so easy, and it gives a new lifeline to telecom. Thanks to Government of India for this. The second initiative, the Government of India we took of Make in India. Earlier, telecom sector, we were dependent majorly on imports from various countries, especially China. But with Make in India, this makes more easy and reliable to us that yes, we were able to have time to market, economic of scale. We could able to give our service and delivery to customer very fastly. This is the second initiative which really helps as a startup to scale up. Can we request to go to the next slide, please? Next, please. So this is Make in India. So in 2024, we have seen the government has huge budgetary outlay of 195 crore. This is a huge money which they are pumping. And followed by that, so what we have seen, the kind of PLI they have given in this sector, this will really give a further boost to us. And company like us, who can further help to the ecosystem and everybody in the country to take to a new normal. Next, please. So next initiative is ease of doing business. When we started a company in 2007, I can see there are a lot of challenges in terms of taxes as well. There were various taxes like VAT, service tax and all. It was difficult for us to do all the compliance and everything. But with a single text solution of GST coming in, it makes life so easy. And it was so simple for us to serve our customer. We were focused on the customer and delivery and service, not to be bothered about the compliances anymore. This gives an equal opportunity for both startup and experienced entrepreneur in public procurement. This is really beneficial for us. So in the last, I would like to say thanks to Government of India, all the representative and the government bodies, and especially BIA for giving us a platform to help us to take to as a voice to us, as an industry, a voice between us and the Government of India, whatever challenges we have faced in these times. So they were always there to help us to take our voice to a different level, and we could able to get a problem solved within no time. Thanks to BF team, especially to Mr. TV Ramachandran, whose guidance has really helped us to go to this level. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening to me. And I'm very all-melt for while sharing this film today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ankit Goel. Because your problem statements and how we emerge with the best solutions was truly inspiring. I'd like to call upon Mr. Ramu TS, CEO and co-founder of Lekha Wireless Solutions Private Limited. He's an entrepreneur with about 24 years of experience in wired and wireless communication technology, product development. He has worked on various 5G LTE, WiMAX, CDMA, etc. Besides modern protocols and algorithms for telephonic applications, presently he is responsible for the go-to-market strategies for the 4G and 5G products to telecom verticals. I'd like to call upon Mr. Ramu to take his time.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity to present our work at Lekha Wireless and also talk about our journey so far. Thanks, BF, for this opportunity. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, as we talk of a company in telecom, probably our identity depends on what kind of products we have built. So I'll start with a little bit brief about our products. So today we address in India two major markets, defense and the telecom. So apart from these two vectors, we have also industrial communication, which is where we do the exports of our radio, the software-defined radios. So today we are identified with our defense products. It's all software-defined radios, and generally these software-defined radios are used for communication in defense sector. They go as a component as part of the large defense system. Sometimes they are deployed as a network by itself. So these are the three software-defined radios. I'll probably not go through the details, but the details can be found on our website. And then as part of the telecom, we have 4G and 5G products. So as part of the 4G, the picture is the actual picture of a network, which is an antenna connected to our 4G base station. Here, the complete hardware and the software that goes into the LTE eNode B is developed at Lekha. And we partner with other companies to provide applications and the core network. So we have an ecosystem of partners through which we enable the telecom network as well as private network using our product. The second, on the 5G side, it's a work in progress. We are currently enabling some lab-based networks for enabling use cases, but probably in a year's 1 to 1.5 year timeline, we will have a deployable 5G Open RAN based network. Okay. Who we are primarily, the key differentiation we bring to the table is we are a technology company, and we have end-to-end capability that a company required for delivering a radio product to the market. So we have algorithms team, the software stack teams, which develops physical layer and protocol layer, and the hardware team, which requires whatever is required to develop the platform, and a small radio design, FPGA teams, and then antenna design team. So we take definitely a lot of pride in our team in delivering all aspects of the network. And most importantly, we also drive a group of companies who work as an ecosystem partner, where we actually partner together to manufacture in India and export our radio products. So that's where we bring in a key differentiation in terms of telecom industry. So we are a design-led manufacturing company. So going forward, we are looking at enabling several use cases. Today, we are, as part of the defense, we have success stories where we are enabling private 4G network deployed on naval ships. Then we also are part of many programs which I'll not be able to share the details, but they span across unmanned aerial vehicles. It is also in terms of missile communication and unmanned ground vehicles. So there are multiple programs where Lekha's products are integrated and going to be part of the big defense systems. So apart from that, we are also looking at enabling use cases in railways, telecom network. We have a major success story to be, I mean, we are looking forward in the telecom sector for 4G network, as well as we are in touch with the multiple government research institutes for 5G network. So this slide provides more details of the network which we intend to enable in going forward. Right. So in terms of success story, probably I would like to share, because there may be many entrepreneurs or young minds who are part of this call. So our journey started with consultation. Then we progressed towards, we invested that money in terms of developing IPs and value-added services. We grew up in the from consultation to adding more value adds in terms of our services through our IPs and turnkey solution. So then we moved on to developing reference design, where this reference design is an integrated solution which is put on a hardware platform, and one can pick it up and take it to the manufacturing. So subsequently, we whatever money we generated from our first generation product, we invested on our second generation product. Today, we have built a product which is based on the 4G technology. Probably we have a very unique proposition and very unique positioning in the market, where we have taken this product from like a build from scratch. So that this is now we are deploying the private network for various use cases. So our journey so far, I think, probably is what inspires us, because frankly, it's not we got investment from VC funding agencies. It is a self-funded company. So what we invested is probably is our technical expertise, and as well as the trust among the team, because we have a team which is 210 engineers led by several leadership team members who joined us very early and stuck to our vision, and we are able to reach this stage. So, and apart from that, we have several recognition in terms of we are one of the key player in the 5G ecosystem in the country today, and several patents in wireless, LTE, as well as 5G NR. So we are a deep tech company with total ownership of software and hardware as part of the radio access network. So coming to the company profile, we started our journey with WiMAX technology, and then we started doing the trials as part of one of the operator. The revenues which we generated from WiMAX network was invested on 4G, and we have built 4G product. Then now 4G products are in trial. So we look forward for a non-linear growth as part of our 4G, and then moving forward to the 5G. So one of the key differentiation is we are enabling today Atmanirbharta in telecom as Prime Minister's vision. So definitely we have built a potential in terms of filling this gap, and we are working towards that. And we are a team of 210 years and about 11-year-old company, and there are many awards and recognitions. So this is about company profile. So this is a brief about Lekha Wireless. So as I mentioned, reaching a product which is of 85% maturity is key for any deployment. Today we are engaging not only with our partners, but also the end users through ecosystem partnership. So this is something which is the key success story I would like to share. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ramo, for your valuable insights and letting us know about the importance of a team for a successful startup. Your success from consultation to development deployment is truly inspiring. Let me tell you, remaining self-funded is a feather to the cap. Beautiful. I'd like to call upon Mr. Hemant Malakpur, co-founder of Sankhya Labs Private Limited. He has 30 years of industrial experience, primarily managing semiconductor and system product development. He oversees the development of 5G telecom infrastructure and broadcast system and chipsets product. He holds 5 US patents and has earlier served in the organizations like Sage, Genesis Microchip, Synopsys, and CG Coral. I'd like to call upon Mr. Hemant Malapur to take his time.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank Broadband India Forum for providing us this platform to talk about our journey. So I'll just start by sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, so this is the broad outline of what I will cover today. So basically, target markets, what are the products and IPs that we have developed? What are the indigenous components that we have built? And our specific success story, one of the cases of a product. A brief about the company profile and what kind of government support we have received in these years. So on the market products and IPs developed, primarily Sankhya Labs is focused on 3 broad application domains. The 5G NR is the latest sort of cutting edge technology that is being developed. So we are targeting open and virtual RAN based 5G telecom infrastructure market. So we are building solutions on both system level as well as at semiconductors, and of course embedded software is part of the product. And we have this new category of product, I would say, that we are trying to create, and this is an innovation worldwide, the first of its kind, where we are looking at next generation direct to mobile broadcast solution. And this is a truly path breaking kind of thing. If it picks up, this would be this would help decongest our mobile networks and also enable direct to mobile reception on handsets. We also have a category of products called in the satellite communication field, where primarily we target satellite IoT, and I'll talk more about this. We handle both the user terminal as well as the hub side equipment here. So this is a sort of an overview of what our product, how they look. At the core is our semiconductor chipset. So as Sankhya basically is started as a semiconductor company, and we have 2 generations of product already in the market, and the 3rd one is under development. We, as I mentioned, 5G infrastructure, we have the radio unit, the broadcast. These are actually product pictures that we have deployed, and the satellite IoT. So I'll go into more details further down. Just to talk about the indigenous content, these are the things that, both in terms of development and manufacturing, that is being done domestically. Of course, the semiconductor chipset, what we call software-defined radio, it's a chipset that we have built. In fact, it's a family of products. This is developed entirely in India. Of course, the manufacturing is still outside because we don't have leading edge semiconductor manufacturing technology in India, but we hope to see that change very soon. So hopefully that will happen also in India. System hardware, all of that we are developing in-house. We have significant expertise built in this domain for over a period of 15 years that we've been around. Wireless technology, the core of what we do is really the wireless, what we call the waveforms and baseband technology that runs on our chipset. Of course, all of this, because it's a software-defined radio, there's a whole lot of embedded software development that goes with it, goes into the product. And over the recent past, we have also built the mechanical enclosure expertise in-house, where this is an essential part of some of the high-end telecom products, which we felt that this is necessary to bring in-house. And of course, the electronics manufacturing is indigenous, although we don't do it. We contract manufacture it outside, but that's something that is built in India. So now I'll go a bit more into the different family of products that we have. We have in the 5G telecom infrastructure, there is this new concept called Open RAN, which basically disaggregates the telecom infrastructure into primarily, there are two products which we are involved in here. One is called the O-RAN distributed unit, which basically does the baseband processing, the higher layer of that, and of course the L2 processing. And so here we have a hardware platform that is being built, and then there's a chipset under development, which will be a path-breaking solution. Also has benefits to the telecom providers in terms of lower total cost of operation and having flexibility and elasticity in the product line for future upgradability. The second product we have, in fact, there's a family of products called O-RAN radio unit. And these are capable of, these are the boxes that go on top of the towers, telecom towers. These are under development. We have multiple flavors, single band, dual band, tri-band, including massive MIMO variants. And we are proud of this particular product, where we see that there's a major opportunity worldwide, not just in India, but worldwide, where this is going to make an impact. Coming to our broadcast solutions, we call it 5G broadcast, of course, in the sense that it is a next generation broadcast, so we called it 5G broadcast. Basically, the product portfolio here involves, as you can see, the broadcast radio head. Use the pointer here. So the broadcast radio head is basically, again, a unit that goes on top of the tower, low power TV, as we call it, low power TV transmitter. And this will enable, if you deploy it in a similar manner as say a cellular network with these low power TV transmitters in, say, dense urban areas, then it will enable a lot of broadcast traffic to be rerouted on this network. And over here we have a software solution also, which basically helps with the convergence, how this would converge with the conventional cellular network. So these are some of the innovations that we have built. We also have the receiver side. So it's not just the transmitter, but also on the receiver side. And you can see that our chip, and this is a phone that we have built, of course, with some partnership. And this is actually a cell phone that is developed with the Sankhya chip inside it. And this enables the direct to mobile broadcast reception. Then coming to our SATCOM solutions, we have primarily asset tracking. I'll talk more on this in detail later, but we also have the hub side equipment, and there are some terminals for satellite IoT. So I'll get into this more detail here. So as a success story, I thought I picked up one of these products, which is already deployed in India. Of course, this has been a long sort of path, but basically we are proud of the fact that around close to 3,000 of these modules that we have supplied for satellite communication go inside the equipment that we have partnered with BEL, and that goes into tracking real-time location of locomotives. So the train engine gets tracked in real time. Every 15 seconds there's an update. So there is a real-time update available on the location of trains. And there is a—
Sorry to intervene, sir. Can you please find it?
Yeah. So the Navdut terminal is another application where a satellite terminal for IoT is deployed in fishing boats. So this is pictures of the product deployment. And just in brief about the company, we started as a fabless semiconductor company, and we produced India's, actually the world's first production SDR, software-defined radio. We have 2 chips already done. We have spent a considerable amount of R&D dollars into building this technology. We have 400 employees plus consultants counted and 70 international patents. We have received multiple awards. And in terms of support from government, these are some of the things which, obviously to enable a local ecosystem, we have seen that DOT and WPC helped us, get a license for experimental spectrum. I think this is a very important step that helps local R&D to flourish in the wireless space. ISRO as a partner has helped us. We developed our product and then it's deployed with the Railways and Fisheries Department. In defense indigenization, we have partnered with Scient and tactical radio, which is meant for Indian Army, is under development with Make-2 project. We are also getting EDA tools access for our chip development from SAFAL, which is an accelerator funded by Government of Karnataka. And we expect to benefit from the DLI for chip development scheme that has been recently introduced and the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission in terms of telecom. So, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Because sharing your experience journey and that direct to mobile broadcasting solution would be truly a game changer. Because rightly said that the government role is important for gaining success in the startups. Now I'd like to call upon Dr. Sai Dheeraj, who is a principal engineer in Basic Networks. He is a governing council member in TSDSI. He has rich experience in standards and that implementation. Also, he's an adjunct assistant professor at IIT Hyderabad and he represents IITH and WISIG in 3GPP, ITUR meetings, ORAN, and TSDSI meetings. He has several publications and patents to his credit, some of which are standard essential. I'd like to call upon Dr. Sai Dheeraj to take his time.
Thank you, Broadband India Forum. Thank you, TVR sir. Thanks, James, for the introduction. So we are WISIG Networks. I'm coming directly. Yesterday, most of you may have seen a press release about some of our achievements. So I'll also talk about that today. A lot of congratulatory messages coming our way. So it feels good. So we are a little over a 5-year-old startup based out of IIT Hyderabad Business Incubator. We are the leading 5G innovator from India. We are the ones who drove the 5G standard development in India. We have filed more than 100 patents, and a couple of months ago, you may have seen another press release from our side, where we declared several patents to TSDSI, which are standard essential to the 3GPP 5G NR standards. I think this is never heard before, never done before in India. We are the first to have done it. We are a team of 50 plus vibrant engineers who have PhDs, masters, spanning IC design, system, embedded software design, FPGA, hardware implementation, whatnot. So, and we are a very active member of the standards, like I said, standards organizations like TSDSI, ORAN, and 3GPP. So our ambition is to grow into a wireless technology provider and a system provider for 5G and XG space. We want to design in India, make in India, but make for the world. And so what you see on the right side is just a representative list of our international partners, and we have helped all these partners succeed in their respective programs. And there's a long list of partners which we could not put here for several reasons. So our claim to fame is what you can see here is like 4 pillars for us. One of them is a small cell base station. It's a reference design that we have, which is a 5G call. Everything is working end to end. Every piece of this product has been designed in India by us. The second scope for us is a massive MIMO ORAN compliant base station. So we have several partners with whom we have worked to deliver 4G massive MIMO solutions, deploy in the field. And for 5G massive MIMO, we are working with partners to deploy our solutions in the field. Some of our solutions are patented deep tech patents, where they will bring out the differentiation for any massive MIMO product and help our partners compete with the Ericssons and Nokias of the world. We provide a 5G UE reference design for whoever is interested. And there is another news piece that you may have seen maybe 6 months ago, which is our working NB-IoT UE system on a chip, which again is fully indigenous. So our business, we structure it in 4 verticals. One is a research focus. I mean, we are a very, very strong research focused company. We continuously churn patents, publications, and we license our technology to several players. We participate in standards. I mean, I've said in many talks before that without knowing what the standard is saying, you will not be able to build products. So we make it a point to ensure that we contribute to standards, we attend the standards, we have our say in the standards, and we know how the standards are made, and we know why every line in a standard has come. I mean, that is what helps us build successful products. The second vertical is the mostly infrastructure space, where it's a small cell, macro cell, you name it, and we have it, an IAB solution, and we will license it, and the respective manufacturer can take it and productize it. The UE, we have a strong play. We have several partners in the UE, 5G, UE, 5 and stack space. We have delivered successful projects to several players, and we provide system integration services in the 5G UE space. And NB-IoT SoC, we are a fabless unit. So we are doing IC design. We are developing with our partners modules. We are going to do network trials, everything. So yes, so we have, like I've said, regarding Massive MIMO, we have some cutting edge solutions that can help you compete with the Ericssons and Nokias of the world. We have fully working 3GPP compliant base station infrastructure solutions that can support IAB. Integrated access and backhaul is one of the most niche markets that is coming up. We support release 15, release 16, millimeter wave, URLLC. Non-terrestrial networks is one of our core areas that we have been working with to show a working setup with SATCOM solutions. We have network simulators. So our research, it starts from theoretical research, then we implement a lot of simulators. These simulators actually help you identify how a network should be built. And very recently, we have licensed these simulators to some big players to help them develop AI/ML solutions for an ORAN base station. So there's something called as a RAN intelligent controller, real-time intelligent controller that ORAN standards body is prescribing. So our simulators are used in these big players as products to able to help them understand how AI/ML solutions should work. So all our tools have AI/ML equipped with them. These are very deep tech simulators built over 5-6 years, 3GPP compliant. They simulate a real network, handovers, mobility, 4G, 5G, name it, and it will simulate. And this is what is needed for an operator to know, operator and base station vendor like Ericsson's, Nokia's, Mavenir, they all needed to able to identify what is needed from their product. So we have equipped several of our players with the know-how for 4G and 5G technology. So next gen RAN will be highly software defined, and WiSig is fully equipped to drive this innovation. We offer very highly differentiated physical layer, stack, and end-to-end solutions. Yeah, so with that, I'll end this talk. Yeah, it was a short presentation. So there's a lot of press about us. There are a couple of YouTube videos out there. Feel free to check it out. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Sai, for sharing the importance of research and how standards help shape success. Because I'd now like to invite our guest of honor, Shri Deepak Bagla, MD and CEO of Invest India. He has a professional career of over 3 decades with the World Bank, Citibank, private equity across Europe, Asia, and Africa. He is also a member of the investment committee for the Fund of Funds for Startups and the advisory board of the Fund of Funds for MSMEs. He is also a special invitee to the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council. I'd like to call upon Shri Deepak Baglaji to take his time.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. And before I say anything, I have to thank TV. I mean, it's such a pleasure that you got us all together. It says the host has spotlighted your video for everyone. Would you like to unmute? Can you hear me? James?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
because it asked me to unmute myself. But really, thank you for getting us all together. And it was such a pleasure, and actually in many ways, such a moment of pride when you hear all the startups and the entrepreneurs and our promoters discussing what they've done. Just think about the solutions they are bringing and the kind of change and the transformation which they are bringing, not just for us in India, I think, but globally, the impact which is there. And let me just step back to January 2016, January 16, 2016, in fact. And TV, you would remember that was the time when the Honorable Prime Minister launched Startup India. And actually, nobody knew what the startup definition was. And see where you've come in just a short period of 70, 72 months. In many ways, we are the youngest startup nation on the planet in the world of startups. And in such a short period of time, you're number 3 in the world in number of unicorns. You're number 2 in the world in number of startups. You're number 1 in the world in new startups adding every day. It's all because of you. TV, you, your team, everyone on the screen today has created this transformation. And let me just show you the other very gratifying thing for me when this is concerned. Today, out of 739 districts, we have a registered startup with the government of India in over 650 of those. This is very gratifying because this shows what the new India is. The new India, which is emerging a bottom up and not a top down. And a new India, which is empowered by digitization. Because I believe the first time in our history, we have each and every individual who has the democratization where the access to opportunity is equal. The access to contribute to the country's development is there for each and every one. They are empowered for it today. And the ability to partake on what are the benefits which are coming out of this growth are there for everyone to see. And a large part of this is driven by digitization. I think the central pillar of New India and the transformation is the huge digitization initiative which has been introduced by Prime Minister Mr. Modi. It's been exceptional. And to my mind, it is the core of our transformation. Now, let me just share on how fast this transformation is moving, and especially in this world of startups and innovation. 2020, even in the midst of that unprecedented lockdown, we added a unicorn virtually every 30, 31 days. 2021, the lockdown continues, and the most unprecedented one yet still to go, you added a unicorn every 10 days. In fact, every 9.5 days. And this year, we've just been in the first about 50 days of this year, we've added a unicorn every 5 days. I remember 2019, we were having a conference in Goa, and we said we'll have 150 unicorns by 2024-25. And at that time, everybody said it sounds impossible. India will not be able to do it. Well, India has surprised them yet again. 2025, no. I think at the rate at which we are going, by the end of next year, you'll have 150, if not before. It's fantastic. And this is what the impact, what is happening with this huge drive of startups. In fact, it is now being looked at as a case study in many business schools on how policy making, adept policy making, together with a very outcome-based approach. So how it can create magic when it brings in all the shareholders together. The example being the strength, I think, of this policy making here was in this government. One, it is based on very extensive and intensive stakeholder consultation. TV, you and your entire team have been a very integral part of this entire consultation. It's totally based on feedback from the stakeholders, and it is constantly being reevaluated as we are moving up the curve, that what are the new requirements which has to be brought in. The second part, there's a flexibility in it. There's an openness in approach in creating a policy and revisiting it, and at the same point of time, creating it and bringing in the requirements which are required as the market progresses. The third thing, there is clear outcome-based approach on policy making in this government from the senior most levels of the government. There is an outcome which has been set as targets for each and everyone in the system, for all stakeholders. And the fourth part, the pillar, it is monitored on a regular basis with a clear roadmap from the highest office of the country. This is the result when you have good, successful policy, when you have stakeholder involvement, you can see this magic happening. And the story has only just begun. And how fast the story is going and what is the impact it is creating in other places. In human economic history, we have an unprecedented example of a brand new company which could access 100 million new customers in 180 days. And the cost per acquisition of each of those clients was less than 1/5 of the global average. This is the strength when you talk of digital dialogues of India TV. And that is the strength when you've got us all together. Bring that digitization framework and just imagine, how would you have gone through this pandemic if we did not have that digital framework? The entire digital initiative, Digital India initiative launched by the Prime Minister with a focus. This is huge. Not only is it creating a transformation which is unprecedented, both in terms of scale and pace, but it is also creating a transformation which spreads across every aspect of our life, be it business, be it our individual lives. And what it is bringing in is the sense of singularity and momentum, which is fast tracking India to its new venture of a $10 trillion economy by 2030. You're $3 trillion today. Before going into the pandemic, you were the fastest growing large economy on the planet. And even now, even in the midst of this pandemic, IMF has said you'll be growing at over 9%, which makes you back again as being the fastest growing large economy on the planet. And what is driving this? It's being driven by policy, it's being driven by leadership, but most importantly also, it's driven by each one of you, the entrepreneurs of India. And the solutions which they are bringing, solutions to issues which we thought were, which we did not have a solution for at many times in our lives, but today we do. So I think the discussion today is extremely vital. Thank you for bringing everyone together. I think you form the core of the new India. A new India which is going to add $7 trillion to the bottom lines of all those who partner with it during this decade. What I mean by that is the GDP going from $3 trillion to $10 trillion. And I think the leadership which you have established is well acknowledged globally about not just the intellectual prowess of India, but the strength in its R&D, the strength in its innovation, and bringing solutions which are not just changing the lives of all of us in India, but also have the ability to be able to change lives of people across the globe. TV, thank you very much for bringing me in, giving me this opportunity. And James, thank you very much for taking us during the course of the morning. Wish you all the best. And thank you for all making us so proud. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wonderful talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shri Deepak Banglaji, for adding an emotional pull towards startups and entrepreneurs. It's full of gratitude, and yes, a new India is already formed since 2016. We are all leading it from the front. The digitalization is gushing, and it's against all the odds we knew back in 2019. So thank you for sharing their experience with us. We're all blessed. Now I'd like to call upon our guest of honor, Shri YGSC Kishore Babu, DDG SRF from DOT, Ministry of Communications. He has over 29 years of experience in public policy development in ICTs, development programs, and projects of national significance. He has been responsible for active coordination with international, national organizations, and industry, apart from various public sector engagements. I'd like to call upon Shri Kishore Babu, sir, to take his time.
Thank you very much for all the stalwarts who are here. And in fact, when each one of you shared about what you have contributed, how you have added in terms of wealth, jobs, as well as capacity creation in the country, it is unparalleled. Let me thank, Broadband India Forum, especially the pillar Shri TV Ramchandran sir, and as well as Startup India Mission as a program, how it is bringing all the members together in sharing these success stories. And with a deep gratitude and with utmost humility, many thanks to all of you for making India and taking India to the next era for the upcoming generations. And as somebody mentioned to you that what we are seeing today, let me assess it as something like, tip of the iceberg. When BA brought in, 5 companies or 6 companies who have made extraordinary progress, I can say that it's only tip of the iceberg, and lot many success stories are happening right now with our knowledge or without our knowledge, maybe direct or indirect contribution. Thanks very much for all of you who are present here and who are contributing to this journey. And one thing what I want to share without duplicating what the previous distinguished members spoke, there's enormous amount of attitude change in the outlook of facilitating agencies, be it government, be it public sector units, or be it other agencies who are part of this journey. Thanks to the top leadership as well as the single line focus about taking India to the next era or next decade. There's enormous what's called push as well as encouragement to bring the very much required attitude change. Something called ease of doing business itself enables brings the way how I should speak to an industry. Being a government person, it's not like you are other side, I am this side. It's about what is that required to be done, especially when things are moving fast. You might have heard in the media that there is already some discussion with regard to working on or drafting something called 2047 vision. Think about the long-term plan, what Indian policymakers as well as the industry stakeholders and all the stakeholders who are working towards creating a long-term vision. And I'm sure the efforts what you're contributing, invariably they trigger more thought process in creating and enabling certain barriers. Of course, you all know that while there is every effort to create, facilitate the journey, there are certain challenges still which every one of us are working together with respect to building collaboration as well as enabling or removing those, barriers with limitations as part of the, this evolution journey. From Department of Telecom, for the last 3 years, we have been mapping the technologies as well as technology companies as well as competencies of the different industry members. Some of them who are present here, perhaps I might have spoken maybe, I cannot say hundreds of calls, at least over 100 calls or 100 conversations I would have had with several of these members, how we can facilitate from Department of Telecom. I'm sure this is kind of effort from other ministries as well as other agencies is continuously happening. And the source or inspiration for all of us is you, the industry as well as industry facilitation agencies and think tanks like BIF and startups with your success stories and all the members. You are the inspiration to us. And what we have seen over a period of time, apart from global opportunities, we have seen there's a kind of tremendous opportunity for collaboration among the Indian companies themselves. Because when we saw the jigsaw puzzles in the telecom sector, if you look at unlike platform kind of innovation, the technology innovation, science and technology based development as well as IP creation, you have seen companies are not less than 5-6 years old. But with them, we are having lot many members who brought in decades of experience from the centers of excellence of the entities created from global companies and global experience. There are a lot of experience is going into making this collaboration journeys possible. And from Department of Telecom, some of the issues, some of the things like we might have seen the announcements like 5% of USF levy to be considered for R&D funding, especially to innovate new technologies for making technologies and services affordable and more proliferating such services to the rural sector. And one of the members also mentioned about how spectrum as a resource is being made available from Department of Telecom on very easy terms. And perhaps this may be one lowest what's called or easiest made available in the world itself. Through self-declaration, you can get spectrum in India for all your R&D purposes with mere $70 annual fee. any spectrum band for your indoor testing, indoor demonstration, or indoor R&D purpose, including manufacturing. You can just get with a in a click of a mouse, you can take a print and you can start your journey. Yes, the opportunity and the objective is to remove the unnecessary barriers and making your life more simpler, as well as you focus on the activities what is more worthwhile in pursuing your objective and dreams to make India a better India and great India. So once again, I want to thank organizers, TV Ramchandran ji, and as well as all the people who are part of this particular occasion in the back end who contributed for making this event successful, and especially all the agencies, Startup India and other, especially, I want to thank for the innovative idea of making this particular engagement discussion accessible, and as well as bringing in accessibility factor so that all is inclusive in this journey. Thanks very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Kishore Babu sir, for valuing all the startups on board and appreciating, recognizing our efforts to bring positive change in the digital ecosystem. Because definitely all of us would work for the 2047 vision, anything that makes our country lead from the front, that converts us to be a fully developed economy. The insights and how DOT is striving hard to support the Make in India initiative is truly amazing. Because it's definitely not possible without people like you supporting us in the journey, the startup stages. Thank you so much for that. Before moving on to the Q&A session,
If it is not out of protocol, just I want to add something.
Yes, please.
I know in the startup division in DOT, which is called Standards R&D Innovation, it was constituted in 2019 mid, primarily to service the what's called energies, as well as facilitate startups and SMEs in the technology backdrop or technology ecosystem. We get energy through these interactions. Our division gets inspired from the calls as well as engagements which we have with these engaging companies. You are our energy and inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's such a nice thing to say. Definitely. I just like to throw some light before going on to the Q&A session, because of companies like us in the startup ecosystem and digitalization part, we can have a seamless online call, right? So appreciating that fact, I request all the panelists to please switch on their videos for a group picture, a screenshot. Now moving on to the Q&A session, I'd like to address certain questions from the audience for our esteemed panelists. So going on to the first question, that is to Level Networks. Enterprise connectivity solutions are the real cash cows for telcos and enterprises today. Given that 5G is on the anvil, how do you think it will impact the enterprises solutions network? It's a question to Level Networks.
Thanks, James. And I was actually, when I saw the question, I was quite excited because 5G is changing everything, as we know. And the number one impact on enterprise is the 20 times more bandwidth. Everybody's waiting for it. This call, everything we do on the network today requires more bandwidth. The fact that 5G will provide so much more bandwidth, I can't tell you how many customers are waiting for that. Because everybody wants to connect faster, whether it's the coffee shop which is sending you a message or the logistics company waiting to update our delivery. So the fact that the bandwidth will be much higher, that would be first. And the second thing is enterprises are waiting to move content closer. We've heard of edge computing for nearly 10 years now. And I think 5G will finally allow us to do some of that. A lot of companies that we work with are just waiting to bring their content closer once the 5G networks are available. So two big things we see. The fact that the last mile will be 20 times faster. There's so much we can do on the network. And the fact that we can actually bring now content closer to the edge to finally enable edge computing. I think for enterprises, those are the big two things from 5G.
Thank you. Now the question is to Mr. Ankit Goyal from Space World. One of the biggest challenges is to provide seamless quality connectivity to every nook and corner inside the residential buildings. So how and in what manner is Space World trying to provide a solution to this problem?
Hi. So I think I've addressed this question in different way during my presentation as well. So this is something we realized during COVID time. So when everything has moved from workplace to the home, so we have made our home as a new place for work. So during that time, it was more important for have a seamless connectivity inside the building, especially for the kids to have online classes, for people professional to do a work from home culture. This was something during COVID time we realized that this is something a new challenge across the world, that this give a new opportunity to us. So how we did that? So this is not a ready-made solution. This is we call as heterogeneous solution. So it is a mix of various technologies which can give us an answer to that. So what we do, giving an in-building solution in residential complexes is really a nightmare, because reaching out to every flat, every condominium is not easy at all, because you have to lay down a cable and antenna inside the building. It's really a nightmare. You can't do that. So there is a mix, there is a hybrid solution, which is called a heterogeneous solution. How we do about that? So we lay down the IBS solution inside the common areas and the basements where the connectivity issue. Then we lay down some high power antennas, which is called as T-boom antennas, which is having a very clear beam width, which is downside up across the periphery of the society. So it can fire the signal from downside to up towards the society, towards the flat. This can give a second solution. Thirdly, what we can do, we do a small cell solution as well. This means when we do small cells, we lay down small cell in various parts of the societies, in residential societies majorly, where there is a high footfall is there. Let's say the club area is there or play area is there, where people normally connect each other. So it is a mix of all three together, three different technologies. But we do a camouflaging so that residents should not feel like they should not be afraid of. And they have to, within the DOT guidelines, that yes, we should not have a signal level power signal. We should not hamper the human life, and the people should not be afraid of. And the most important part of that, this can be only possible when we have a seamless fiber connectivity. It cannot happen through microwave. So when we're talking about this solution is totally governed by fiber. So we lay down the fiber inside the complete society, and it is a mix of all three. So we did various projects in various parts of the country, especially from Delhi, NCR, followed by Calcutta, followed by Bangalore, and various cities we did that. So now operators are very keen. Mumbai, of course, Mumbai is a big challenge. So of course, now operators are very keen to look forward to now in 5G coming in. 5G will be in 5G, we can't expect a network at all. 5G, we can't expect a connectivity from outdoor tower at all. It's next to impossible. For that, we have to go close to the user. For that, this kind of network solution is the only area where this can solve the purpose for everybody in this journey. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Now the question is to Mr. Ramu from Lekha Wireless. It's one of the perceived challenges that indigenous product development companies in India, like Lekha Wireless, faces is to get adequate encouragement, financial support, and indigenous testing facilities to test the product prior to commercial launch. So, how do you think that the government or the private operators have helped in overcoming such challenges?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So so far, I think our journey has been we are helped by the ecosystem. Even though we talk, the current telecom ecosystem is very small, but definitely there is a good amount of cooperation among startups. Even though we compete at multiple places, we collaborate. So that is point number one. Point number two, I think as Kishore Babu mentioned, there's a lot of proactive support which is put forth in front of the industry in the last few years, which is very, very encouraging. So far, the government was engaging mostly the academic research and the government institution, research institution. So now this infrastructure, what has been created, is being offered to the companies. This is something which is a welcome step. We will see a lot of us using this infrastructure going forward. And in terms of something which is a difficult part is how do we get the funding to invest in some of these test facilities, which is a very big investment. And this is something which is definitely slowing down the industry in moving fast in terms of some of these telecom networks. So I feel probably some of the schemes which are coming forward, like say we are part of a scheme called PLI, which is this incentive towards sales. This is something which is very welcome step, and there are new discussions about support from government for R&D. So these are few areas where definitely government is helping us in terms of supporting some of these R&D investments where we can move faster. Without this investment, probably what the current traditional method is, we generate revenue out of some other product. We put that revenue here in terms of investing and developing, so which will take longer. So now we all have realized that the time is the essence and we have to move faster. So definitely R&D investment is a way to go.
Thank you. Because that's really self-funding your own research and things. That is how you're doing it. It's really nice. Thank you. So now the next question is to Mr. Hemant from Sankhya Labs. Being one of the oldest startups and having worked in across several sectors with the government, how would you like to talk about the policy and regulatory support you have received from the government? Because that has helped to overcome the challenges in design, development, and testing of products until maturity.
Yeah, certainly. I think this is a change that we have seen over time, where there is growing support from the government, and I think that is really critical for startups, because there are all the dice are loaded, sort of against startups, whether it is raising funds, whether it is finding a market, and there are things where policy support is really, I think, indispensable for an Indian ecosystem to come up. I think, I had mentioned in my presentation about, for example, the R&D for wireless, being able to get experimental spectrum license. I think that was very key, because, so for example, today we have a field trial running with using that spectrum, where we have, 3 of the towers which have been mounted with our broadcast low power equipment. And that, there's nothing like a field trial for a telecom product. You cannot really simulate everything in a lab. And this has been definitely a big enabler. We are really happy to have received that support. I think other things that where we see, obviously the DLI, and where design-led incentive. So basically, we are looking at it from 2 aspects. One is in terms of the semiconductor part of it, where there is a support with the EDA tools for chip development and IPs, etc., which we hope to benefit from. I think it looks really like a very good scheme that has been announced. There is also this support from an Atmanirbhar point of view for telecom infrastructure, where definitely that is a big help. I think without such a support, it's really difficult for an ecosystem to grow from very nascent stages. And while the ability is there in the country, if there is some support like that, that's what can help the ecosystem grow. And you can be very sure that this kind of a support will have a force multiplier effect. It's not just that you enable 1 company or 2 companies, but India, the industry's confidence itself in it grows. I mean, 3 years back, probably, if we used to have some discussions on some of the digital communication WhatsApp groups that can India do 4G, can India do 5G? But today we can see that the government has reposed that faith in the industry, and I'm sure the industry will rise to that challenge. I think that support is very inspiring.
Thank you. It means that the synergy between the government and the startups really has been developing this in the last 5-10 years. That's really nice. Thank you, sir, for your answer. The next question is to Mr. Dr. Sai from BISIC. How do you perceive the role of indigenous 5G products in the global market, and how can products developed in India compete with the likes of the global giants?
Okay, nice question. Thank you. Very relevant for startups like us. See, I mean, with the introduction of this O-RAN technology, I should say it's a blessing in disguise. One thing is the entire network has now been broken down into multiple pieces. So with limited funding, a startup like someone like us, you don't have to worry about the entire thing to start with, right? You can focus on your niche area. You get that working, you build a full expertise on it, you have your IPs, you compete with the rest of the world only in that space. You find partners to do the rest of the stuff, and then you show this whole solution is working. I mean, yeah, and that way the investment also that is required for a particular piece of this network is slightly minimal compared to when you focus on the entire network where you may not have expertise, right? So I mean, this O-RAN, I should say, it has been a blessing in disguise, and with with that, just someone like us, we have, as you have seen from my talk, we have international partners who keep coming back to us. They have reposed their faith in us. That is because of our niche areas that we have developed over several years of R&D efforts. Yeah, I mean, Indian products are already being used by telecom operators and telecom vendors all across the world. And it's not nothing new, I should say, anymore. It's not a territory that is no longer uncharted. It is something that we are already wading through. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sai. Yeah. We have a question from one of the members. So many of the R&D societies of MeitY, it's open to all. So many of the R&D societies of MeitY are doing research in communication, and similarly, R&D is funded at academic institutions. So how can startups really take benefit out of these outcomes, R&D outcomes? Any one of the panelists can answer this question.
Yeah. Probably, can I take that question? So, yeah, I think there is a lot of investment which has gone into the academic R&D. I think one key differentiation I can see is the R&D that happens in academic is unconstrained. Basically, like they look at the fundamental problem, try to solve it, right? So it could be in the outcome, could be in the form of a demonstration, it could be in the form of POC, or it could be even simulation. So the challenge at as a companies who build the product, this is going to be the starting point. Basically, like we are a customer to these innovations or research outcome. So it's very important, yeah, say how do we speed up the effort of the next, because this is exactly what happens when we work internally also. Like we have a small team which gives the simulations. So finally, is it realizable? Is it like solving all the key elements of reaching the market? Because finally, the industry survive with the returns we get from the product. So how do we benefit from this is something where we have to work together. Academic and research institutes have to work together with the industry, because finally the realization of business is what is the key for judging the outcome. So unless we work together to make this happen, generate business, this is the only way we can take it forward.
Yeah, I'd also like to add here, if I may.
Sure.
Yeah. So definitely, I think I agree with Ramu here. Basically, when we're talking about competing at a global level, you are not, going to be able to kind of claim anything sort of a favor in terms of, performance or anything like that, right? So there are no discounts given on that. And when you are sort of competing with these giant multi-billion-dollar companies, one of the things that you need is cutting edge R&D. Whether it is thermal design, whether it is signal processing, new applications, and even standardization, as Sai mentioned. So these are all things which I think all of these things are coming together really well. I think it's kind of had been cooking up for quite some time. I think last 10-15 years. It's like even TSDSI, when we see standardization is a game that the Western world had started playing. Then China got wizened up to it in 5G. So I think all of that can only happen if we have cutting edge R&D where we can do partnerships with academic institutions, and I think we are benefiting from that.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. So I'd like to wind up the question and answer session over here. And now I'd like to call upon our very own Arunji from BIF to give the closing remarks. Thank you all.
Thank you, James. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Thank you, James. So I feel very privileged to be amongst so many shining stars today, and it's really a privilege to be able to give the vote of thanks today. Firstly, my thanks to Mr. James Solomon, CEO of Sitoto, for doing a marvelous job of moderating this session. I pause for a moment because I really don't know who to thank first. I would like to say a big thank you to the Government of India, first of all, here, and especially to the drive of our Prime Minister for taking us forward in this digital era. I think what DOT has done has been absolutely fantastic over the last few years. As TV Sir says, he's pointed out a number of times the number of public consultations that have taken place over the year, not just through the regulator, but also from DOT. Involvement of the industry has been terrific, and it's a very collaborative process going forward, and that's wonderful. And yes, sir, Mr. Kishore Babu, sir, you are absolutely right. We see a tremendous change in the attitude of government agencies in enabling and being enabling in a supportive manner. That's really true today, sir. And I think that's why we're all sitting here today. One really appreciates Mr. Deepak Bagla, sir. We thank you for, first of all, taking time out and joining us also over here today. I think all the initiatives, sir, which have been started, the Invest India, the Startup India, the Make in India, is just brilliant. And coming to that, sir, of course, thank you also for the amazing fact of how you've shown the rate of increase of the, per year increase in the unicorns. It's quite fascinating, actually. And I think it's marvelous what's happening in India. Coming to this point and to the speakers, I would first like to start say a very big thank you to Mr. Shamal Kumar of Level Networks, who initiated this thought of bringing to the table event like this, where he said, I want to showcase how the schemes which have been given to us by the government of India have helped me to succeed. I've always thought of Shamalji as a very intelligent and progressive person, and I wish him all the success in life for his efforts always. Thank you, Shamalji, for setting this up. I mean, and sort of initiating this whole thing. Yes, your sentence saying it's the support of the government, the trust of the customer, and the innovation of the startup. Very true. I think the startups today are getting the trust of the customer more and more, and that is very important, I think, to go forward. I thank Mr. Ankit Goyal also for his speech and his address to the session. I think he said some very kind words about how BIF has supported him. I would like to thank Space Tele Infra, especially for, when you came to BIF first, we all admired the drive that the team had. It was fantastic. And it was really a very inclusive effort from Space World in all the policy issues. I mean, really, you got involved in everything. And that's what we really appreciate, So thank you for that, sir. And Lekha Wireless, Mr. Ramu, thank you, sir. Wonderful point. We take pride in delivering all aspects of the network. I think that's wonderful. It's been a great journey, and we wish you all success also, sir. Thank you. And Sankhya Labs, Mr. Hemant Malapur. Sir, we have seen Sankhya Labs winning a number, as you said, multiple awards. I think there's been tremendous recognition for the efforts that Sankhya Labs has put in the last few years. And it's we thank you also for taking time out and coming and joining us. In fact, I think to all the speakers, I say thank you. You're all captains of industry, and to come to collectively and talk to us, thank you so much. I would like to also mention what Dr. Dheeraj had mentioned from WISIG about a focus on standards. Keeping in mind also what Mr. Shamal Kumar had talked about, the trust of the customer. I think standards is something which is very important. It's a very important point, because it's not even just important for the Indian customer, but for the global customer. And that's something we are looking at for the exports point of view. So it would be fantastic, yes, if that is also kept in mind always. I thank all our attendees and for spending time and listening to the speakers. Last but not least, I would like to take a moment to thank Mr. T.V. Ramachandran. He's been the voice of the industry for, I think, over 2 decades. And the last few years have been, as the industry has kind of widened in all the aspects, he's become the voice of a wider part of the industry also. We are speaking for everybody. And I thank both Mr. Kishore Babu once again and Mr. Deepak Bagla and the others who've thanked BIF, But the fact is that Mr. T.V. Ramachandran has this thing of saying we must work with the government, to get policy moving. And I think the more people that come and join to speak collectively, it would be best, because the more voices, the better the policy. I think that's something in all the consultations, government turns to all the forums, to get answers. So I look forward to a more collective and progressive future. Thank you for this. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.